What's going on, Los Angeles? Alex Scar here with another edition of the City Section Football Podcast. My partner Connor Morissette, he's on vacation. He's enjoying the summer sun, the last of it. He's missing the start of football season. This Friday, City Section Football gets started all over the city. I cannot wait to break down some of the big games we're going to have. We also have our first Mailbag segment. I sent you guys a question on Twitter. I said, hey, is there a question about City Section Football that you've just been wondering about? What's burning on your mind? Drop me a line. Send me a question. I will answer it here on the podcast. We've got a couple of really good questions here for you today. We're going to break down some of the big games. Like I said, we got a ton of City Section Football to break down and our Mailbag questions. So let's get into it. Here's the Mailbag. All right, Mailbag question one. This one comes from Steven. He says, hey, SCPI, is Narbonne really that good? He capitalized that, T-H-A-T. Is Narbonne really that good? And follow-up question, is there a City Section team that you think can take them down? I'm going to tackle your first question first. Yes, Narbonne really is that good. They have an absolute stud at running back in Juwan Collins, who was just cleared earlier this week. He's transferred from Dorsey. That kid's legit. Blocking for him is Jonah Tanu, left tackle who just committed to Oregon. They got a Jake Garcia, a kid transferred from Long Beach Poly. He's ineligible until week 5, but they have a really good sophomore quarterback who's going to take over the reins in his absence. So, to answer your question number one, yes, Narbonne really is that good. They got a ton of guys. Manny Douglas has an absolute program down there in Harbor City. Here's your second question. Is there a City Section team that can beat them? Well, taking a look at last year, what Narbonne did against the City Section, they outscored City Section opponents 463 to 41 in 8 games, including the playoffs. So if I had to pick an answer, yes or no, I'm putting all of my money on no. I don't think there's a team in the city that can take them down this year, but like we've seen in so many years past, anything can happen. Thing here with Narbonne, they've won 4 straight city titles. We've yet to see a team really kind of knock them off that pedestal. Coach Douglas has done a really good job putting them in kind of the conversation of some of the best high school football programming in the country. Certainly in Southern California, you cannot talk about public school football without mentioning Narbonne. So, Steven, yes, Narbonne really is that good. I expect them. They're our #1 team right now in the top 10, and I expect them to take that wire to wire. All right, Mailbag question 2. This comes from Ed in West Hills. He says, whatever happened to El Camino Real? Well, Ed, hold on. Nothing really happened to El Camino Real. Yes, in 2016, they went all the way to the CIF City Section semifinals, where, shock and surprise, they lost to Narbonne. But last year, while it was kind of a down year by the standards, they went 10-3 in 2016. Last year, they went 6-6. Things didn't really start out how they wanted. They started the season 0-5. They played some really tough football teams. A lot of Southern Section teams that kind of gave them the business. They played Calabasas, Agoura, St. Bonaventure, but they finished the year 6-1. They swept through the West Valley League. They beat a good Birmingham team, a team that they did not expect to beat necessarily. A lot of people in the Valley did not think El Camino Real was going to take down Birmingham, but sure enough, so they did. And I think this year, I know we're still looking at 2016 maybe as kind of the holy grail of El Camino Real football. It had been down for so many years. 2016, they finally pushed into the semifinals. But 2018, you might see some really good play out of Dupree Fuller Jr. He's a senior linebacker and tight end. This kid's an absolute thumper. He's got 96 tackles in his last 2 years on varsity. He also carries the ball a bit. He's going to be a really fundamental and fun player to watch for El Camino Real. But here's the thing. When you're a public school in Los Angeles, it's going to be tough to convince your athletes to stay where they are. And El Camino, they play right next door to Chaminade. They're just down the street from Oaks Christian. So they're losing kids from down the street to Chaminade. They're losing kids to Oaks Christian, Crespi, Notre Dame. All these schools, even Valencia, they kind of pick up some kids from that kind of west end of the valley. So it can be really tough for some of these West Valley schools to keep some of their good athletes. However, I don't think El Camino Real has really gone anywhere. I think they still got some really good talent, so I'm excited to see what happens in 2018. All right, this one comes from Tevin in West LA. He says, prediction. That was it. 4 enters down. He says, oh, for all city quarterback. So the prediction for all city quarterback, well, I've got about 5 of them. Let's go through them. Let's start with Jason Artiga at Birmingham. This guy's a senior. He's been in the program for a little while. He's got a couple of really good receivers to throw to. Boardingham and Mason White over there at Birmingham are going to be some really good targets. And he was good last year. 2,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions for that West Valley League Patriots team. We know Artiga's got some weapons. They've got a really good running game. I'm excited to see how this senior kind of puts it all together for this final year. The trick here with this guy, he's 5'9", gonna have to channel a little bit of Drew Brees, be a little bit smaller guy, escape the pocket, find a guy downfield, but I really believe Jason Artiga is gonna be a name to watch there in the West Valley League. Next, we got Scott Harris. Connor and I talked about him, the Fairfax quarterback. He's already getting some talk in the city section. He's walked on, committed to walk on at USC. We'll see if a Division I program makes the leap and offers him a full-time job to be their quarterback. But last year, Scott Harris, 1,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions in 2017. A big test for Harris. Loyola is first. If you can go out and prove you can move the ball against a good Loyola defense, it's going to be really, really impressive. It's going to go a long way to showing that Scott Harris is some of the best here in the city section. I'm excited to see what this kid's got. I mean, hey, Clay Helton thought he was good enough to offer him a walk-on offer. We should be pretty impressed by what he's got this year. Moving on, Justin Bernal at San Pedro, 6'2", 175 pounds, threw for 1,271 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. I'll break it down for you. Justin Bernal's got a lot of guys ahead of him in the city section that might get more attention. If you want to go out and establish yourself as some of the best quarterbacks here in the city, go beat a Banning, go beat a Carson, and then if you could take down Goliath and beat a Narbonne, you've pretty much cemented your legacy as one of the best city section quarterbacks. So there you go. Justin, I've thrown the gauntlet down. If you can go sweep the Marine League, we'll have an all-city section quarterback plaque waiting for you. It's quite a challenge, but the kid seems to be up to the task. San Pedro, they're number 10 on our top 10. They're certainly on our radar. Excited to see what the Pirates have later in store here in 2018. And last, but certainly not least, Luca Diamant from Venice. The kid throws to Chad Johnson Jr. Yes, Ocho Cinco's kid. Chad Johnson Jr., one of the most elite receivers here in the city section. Luca Diamant is no slouch at quarterback himself. He's got offers from the SEC. Alabama's been talking to this kid. He missed all of last year, his sophomore season. He missed all of last year with a head injury, and this year he seems just aching to get back out on the field. Last year we saw him, just couldn't wait. He was on the field throwing the ball around. He couldn't have pads on. You could see it was just stressing him out not to be able to play quarterback for the Venice Gondos, but here he is, 2018. We got some big games here in the city section. As I promised, I'm going to break down some of these picks here. I'm going to make a few picks. I'm going to go on a limb or two. But really what we're going to want to get down to is who are the teams in the city section? What's their week 1 look like? Let's start with El Camino Real. We talked about them at the top with some of their good play. The last couple of years, last year a bit tough. They started out with St. Bonaventure last year and lost. This year, they get them again. They're at home this time. Last year, they had to travel all the way to Ventura to play them. This year, El Camino Real has St. Bonaventure at home. Still think the Bonnies have a bit of depth. I think they're going to push El Camino all the way to the limit. I don't know what their quarterback situation is for the Conquistadors. So with that, I think I'm going to go with St. Bonaventure. Elko, please feel free to surprise me. I'd love to see it. I think that program can be on the rise if they get some really good play out of Fuller and some other guys they've got over there. Moving on, city section play gets right underway with Canoga Park and Grant. I'm going to take Grant. Canoga Park's had some trouble there in the past, but Grant had a really good run in the playoffs last year, so I'm excited to see what Grant can do. North against San Pedro. That's North, Torrance, and San Pedro. I think I'm going to take San Pedro in this one. I know we haven't talked a whole lot about North. Frankly, I don't know a whole lot about North Torrance, but if I'm going to go out on a limb, I'm going to pick San Pedro to win this one, and it's one of the few Southern Section victories I think a City Section team is going to get here this first Friday. Moving on, Sylmar at Crespi. Well, hey, I went to Crespi. Crespi's my guy, Damian Porter. He's a new coach over there. It's his first year taking over in this storied program. They've had a bit of trouble. Things haven't really worked out for them, but I'm picking Crespi here in this one against Sylmar. Why not? Sylmar's kind of had a rough couple of years. I think Crespi's going to take this one. Moving right along, Long Beach Poly at Dorsey, two of the most storied programs in all of the city. Long Beach Poly and Dorsey have combined to send about 60 guys to the NFL. Long Beach Poly, at this point, is just a little bit healthier of a program, so I'm picking the Jackrabbits here in this one. Next, we've got South Hills at Crenshaw. Don't really know what's up with Crenshaw. The roster of Max Preps is a little thin, but one thing we do know, Robert Garrett's a great coach. He's going to prepare his guys. I'm taking Crenshaw, the Cougars. I think the Shaw Dogs are really going to show out and kind of prove to people who don't believe they're still here, man. Crenshaw didn't go anywhere. I'm picking Crenshaw against South Hills. We got Taft at Saugus. I saw Saugus scrimmage against San Fernando a week or two ago. Saugus looks pretty good. Taft has had a couple of down seasons in a row, so I'm going to take the guys up in that Santa Clarita Valley. Venice at St. Paul. Last year, Venice and St. Paul went to do battle in week 1. St. Paul got the better of them. This year, Venice, they got Luca Diamante quarterback. Chad Johnson's a year older. He's a little bigger, stronger, faster. Give me the Gondos in this one. I think they start off the year really hot, really quickly. I think our number 3 spot that we have Venice in might have been a bit high, but expect them to make good on that. I think they beat St. Paul. And wrapping it up, Narbonne at St. Louis. St. Louis is in Honolulu, Hawaii, so Narbonne, they're already leaving. They're on a plane, they're headed out to Honolulu to get their football season started. They lost 56-50 to St. Louis last year. I think Narbonne, the Gauchos are retooled, reloaded. I think Manny Douglas and those boys are gonna take it to them. I'm picking Narbonne in this one. So that'll do it for this edition of the LA City Section Football Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Football is officially back. Connor will be back hopefully soon, and we'll have a week 1 and week 2 roundups as soon as we can. Thank you so much. We'll see you around schools all fall long.